Hey there, guys. This is Ace, and welcome to whatever the hell it is I'm calling this. Currently, the song we are listening to while we're having this discussion is On and On, featuring Daniel Levi by Cartoon. They will be down, the link to this will be down in the description below. And today, I'd kind of like to talk about Death Stranding a bit. And the main reason that I want to talk about Death Stranding a bit is because I've been playing a lot of Death Stranding. Been playing a good, decent amount of it. First things first, I'm having a lot of fun. If I want anything to come across in everything that I'm about to say, I am heavily enjoying the game. I'm heavily enjoying the game is the part that I need to emphasize. Going and doing things is great. I'm finding a lot of... Man, maybe I should write a script for these. Anyway, no, I don't think that's quite as intimate. If I get all of my feelings across 100% accurately the first time, it feels a little dishonest. Not saying that people that do that are dishonest, just feels like I'm being dishonest if I just don't talk about it. It's a great game. One of the things that I think that it accomplishes really well compared to a lot of the other games on the market is establishing a story and feelings through gameplay. Now, full disclaimer, I have not beaten it. I haven't. I'm about 30 hours in right now at the time of this recording. I've, messed around a bit, built roads, more on that later, and all of this done other stuff. I'm currently, I've hooked up, I think it's called South Knot City, is what I've hooked up, and I've started to do the mountainous region. I have definitely done, and I'm going to try and avoid spoilers as much as I can, but so here's your warning. Because this is all rambly, I'm just going to be talking about my experience with the game so far. So there's, I'm not even going to try to not spoil. Here's the spoiler warning. The warning for the spoilers. There you go. With that being said, let's get right into it. It is a pretty defining moment for me. Oh, I gotta restart the music. I don't have it on loop. What is wrong with me? I'm listening to it right now as well. And just, whatever it is. Alright, back on topic. I have definitely done the mission where, Higgs gives you the bomb. And it is such a cool idea. With only a couple, I could consider them missteps, but it's just... If there's more of an execution like that moving forward in this game, I'm gonna be a happy camper. Because there's a little bit of a weird cutscene of the guy of Higgs giving you the package. And then, it's just kind of weird, the way he hands it to you. He gives it to you in a cutscene, says the system's down, and all of that. And, we could look under all of that in a microscope and pick up some more, we could pick up, inconsistencies with the story and stuff like that now that I'm thinking about it. But honestly, the effect was perfect. Because you don't know he's Hicks at the point that he gives you the package, right? For two reasons. One, they haven't really... It doesn't really come across as... the presentation of the cinematic is there's nothing, inherently sinister about it. It just feels awkward. And two, because everyone in this fucking game and world is so fucking awkward that you don't know when Hideo Kojima is fucking, trying to make you pay attention to a certain character because they're acting out of sorts, or if they're just kind of being weird and creepy. And I just got the impression that this guy was kind of weird and creepy. He gives you a package. He says it's for Fragile. He throws it upon, says the contents of Harry, Fragile. He says fragile too. He doesn't say fragile, which she makes a distinction of saying earlier, which is interesting. But anyway, and so because of the way that cutscene is formatted, that it's just like awkward and it like throws you off a little bit, and it's even kind of different from the other cutscenes that are shown. You're just like, because he says that it's supposed to go to South Knot City, right? I think that's what it is. I think that's what the city is called. The next city you're supposed to go to, the major city. So if you aren't paying attention, right, and you do what I almost did, which would just be like, oh, it's another piece of cargo. You're in the middle of the cargo menus anyway whenever you get interrupted with this cutscene, which was another red flag, just to me, personally. You just, hit put all in vehicle, right? Because I got the truck right behind me. And I'm loading everything else in the truck anyway, and then you get in the truck and you just drive to South Knot City, because at that point, I don't think I had built the road all the way at that point. I think at some point I was either going to have to do some truck finagling or get out. If I remember correctly, I was just going to have to do some truck finagling. But, I looked at the package, right? Because, I was curious. It was just like, what is this? I was just looking at it, right? And the game doesn't even try to BS you at that point. It just doesn't. It doesn't try to BS you. And before you took this package, Die Hardman, Skullboy, we'll call him. I forget if Die Hardman is Guillermo Mr. Del Toro. I apologize. I'm just bad at saying names that aren't one syllable. We'll just call that a character flaw. I wonder what my Kojima name would be if that was my sole trait, is that I can't say people's first names. Oh, we'll get to that later. But basically, the idea is that the game doesn't bullshit you. It doesn't go a mysterious package. Maybe it's a good idea to take it to Fragile first. No, you inspect and look at the package, and it just says it's a thermonuclear bomb. And Fragile should probably look at this. That's just the item description. It's you took a second to look at the package. It's a bomb. If it enters South Knot City, or you walk too far away from it, it's gonna explode. And of course, me being me, I tested to see how far away I could get if it would explode, and if there would be a world consequence or something. It's just a loading screen. It's whatever. I'm not disappointed. But anyway. Then it hits a little bit, and so that happens, right? I'm just sitting here, and I, as a player, know I have a nuke in my inventory, and because I paid attention as a player, and caught a couple of the signposts and decided to investigate instead of just blindly go through it, I, as a player, caught it, and was just looking at it and going, oh, this ain't good. What? Oh, no. Oh, where's Fragile? Oh, I gotta talk to Fragile. Where's Fragile? And then there's a hiccup. There's a hiccup with what could have been a perfect, little gameplay loop thing. Because, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I missed something. Because Die Hardman mentioned before the mission that I could talk to Fragile, right? But I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really want to talk to Fragile. Because at that point I didn't really care about the character that much. Because of issues we'll talk about later. Or probably immediately after this, because this is something I gotta talk about. And I didn't really care about talking to Fragile. I just didn't. Like, I will be 100% honest with you. I just didn't care about talking to Fragile. Because of things that we'll get into here in a second. So, I didn't really quite pay attention to that part. But basically, the way that it was presented in the dialogue, and up to that point, it had been basically... I was basically told, hey, Fragile isn't going to be able to teleport anymore. She didn't really tell us why. It's like a personal thing. What are... You know, like, maybe you should talk to her at some point. I think they mentioned she was, like, west or east of, like, the distribution point, south of North Knot City or something. And so, I'm, no joke, going over my map for, like, a half hour in real time, right? Turning off all the icons, re-listening to the mission briefing, trudging through my tips and my data, trying to figure out if there was a secondary piece of information that I missed that would basically tell me how to talk to Fragile, right? And I couldn't find it. And I didn't just want to, like, look it up on the internet, because I'm really, really trying to not spoil what's after all of this in the game for me, because it's Hideo Kojima, and I'm assuming there's multiple ends, and I'm assuming what I do has some impact on it, and even if it doesn't, there's missions like in Metal Gear Solid 5 where all of your guys got the larynx disease thing, and like there was no cure for it, and they were all hyper infected, and they weren't just like random people either. Like, there was more than a possibility, and if you were me, you recognized most, if not all, of the names of the guys in that segment. Because you had moved them through areas, you had been making little jokes to yourself, you had been, you know, transferring the Kyle Fox multiple times. Oh man, that section. Oh fuck, that section fucks with me. Oh, I'm just thinking about it right now. But I don't want to ruin shit like that for myself, right? So I just started poking around. I was just like, is somebody gonna, like, I'm driving with it now. If I look at the package more times, it's gonna tell me. Apparently you have to go to sleep. That's what I'm getting at. You have to go to sleep, and then you have a dream about Higgs and Norman Reedus. I know his name is Porter Bridges. I know his name is Porter Bridges, but he's Norman Reedus. He will always just be Norman Reedus in this game, and he will always just... Okay, so Porter Bridges... I think his actual name's like Ned. Norman Reedus. So, Norman Reedus has a dream, and he realizes that the guy who gave him the package was Higgs. And then he wakes up going like, Higgs! And then, out of nowhere, Fragile's there. Now, I'll admit, I really feel like I missed something, and the game was trying to funnel me into, like, the if you didn't realize what was going on, there's now no mistaking, you now know what's going on bit. That's possible. But we'll get to why I don't necessarily think that's the case later. But it's absolutely possible. Okay? But, so she shows up. She says it's a bomb, which me as a player, I already knew it was a bomb. And I guess I had all the pieces to solve it myself. I guess. without having to go to sleep, because the lady did mention the tar pits, but I'm gonna be real honest with you for a second. Are you ready for this? I don't know how this looks. Let's see how this looks. How's the camera angle? Fuck it, I'll run with it. Because you know what? Something I didn't think about. I didn't think about throwing a nuke into a tar lake, stopping the nuke. I'm going to be completely honest. Having not had a reason to throw anything into the tar lake up until this point, this essentially is the tar lake tutorial, right? Which, don't get me wrong, on paper is a metal as fuck tutorial. They mentioned throwing bodies in the lake, which makes sense to me, because bodies, you know, sink. But in every case up to this point, packages have floated. They, you know, it all floats in this game, Georgie, is basically what had been shown to me up to this point. So my main thought was, if we just don't want a nuke going off anywhere on this map, floating on the top of a lake in a package doesn't make it seem any better. But that's just theorizing. I didn't realize it at the time that you could throw it into the tar pit. So, like, I guess maybe this is on me, but it's emblematic of a bigger problem, right? Or maybe that's not emblematic of a bigger problem, but Fragile then tells you it's a nuke in the box, right? Which I already knew through gameplay. I had realized that there was a nuke in the box, but then the box told me to go find Fragile. Why didn't the box tell me I need to dispose of it? Or something. Basically, the game told me to start going looking for Fragile, and then didn't tell me where to find Fragile, so I took a nap. And then Fragile showed up, told me shit I already knew as a player, but Norman Reedus didn't know. And then sent me on kind of the opposite of a fetch quest. It's like a dump quest. Which, don't get me wrong, I like that idea. It's a weird little hiccup in a admittedly emotionally powerful mission. Like, not even just like the cinematic at the end, which, holy fuck, that's dark. That is some dark shit, man. Fuck Higgs at this point. Ugh. But it's technically a small hiccup, but a small hiccup when you're running at full speed and you're running perfectly can fuck everything up. So, I kind of want to talk about the thing I don't like about this game. Well, okay. I'm going to put it like this. The thing I love about this game is how Hideo Kojima designed it. What I don't like about this game is how Hideo Kojima wrote it. And I know that just put a laser dot on my head, Predator style. 'Cause, let me put it this way. Hideo Kojima is the closest thing we have in gaming to an auteur. Not an artist. We're not calling him an artist. Not all the other words that people are going to want to throw his way in terms of praise, which I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve all these labels. I'm not saying that he doesn't, deserve praise. But we need to start recognizing Hideo Kojima for what he is, especially because he's on his own now and he can do whatever the hell he wants. Which means we need to start looking at his products I don't want to call it a product. We need to start looking at his projects and his visions and his games. He needs an editor. Like, he just does. He needs an editor, like, a lot. He needs someone that he trusts explicitly. I don't mean you need to find a producer to trim down, and I'm not saying you need to find a cage to contain the genius. I am nowhere saying that this needs to be contained. He just needs one of his besties, someone he trusts, to help him dial it back just 2 notches, and to be able to tell him the hard news that, alright, and here we go. Admittedly, I'm only 30 hours into the campaign, but I don't like any of his characters so far. Higgs has got that cool guy, bad guy stuff going on, and the war veteran has also got, like, the mysterious what's going on with him mystery. But that's the thing. First off, I am just 100% a sucker for strong, intimidating, rough, grizzled bad men. I like a bad boy. And the war veteran, as he has been named at this point, and I forget the actor's name because I'm terrible, but in the game he has been introduced as the war veteran. The war veteran at this point isn't a character. The war veteran is a mystery, and how he's connected to the BB and everything else like that, he's not a character. He's a mystery. And just because I got a thing for bad boys doesn't mean they're either A, interesting, or B, that I'm particularly interested in them. I like Higgs more because of, like, what he represents. And also, he's just a mystery. I honestly, the second I learn whatever Higgs' backstory is, I'm probably going to be hyper judgmental and just, like, he's probably just going to be like a little pissant that got godlike powers and is actually just pathetic. Honestly, I don't know that yet. Let's clarify. I'm only 30 hours in, and the guy handed me a bomb. Like, boldface handed me a bomb in the walking through timefall thing. Oh! Sorry. Yeah, maybe I don't have a thing for this bad boy. But he's a really good bad guy up to this point. But again, doesn't make him compelling or interesting. It just means that Hideo Kojima has done a really good job 30 hours in of establishing some mysteries. Right? I don't give a shit about anybody in the story so far, except for maybe Fragile, in the same way that I feel bad and want to adopt a puppy that I know for a fact has been abused. And they have, like, pictures of the before abuse and the after vet thing. Like, I like Fragile like I like a 3-legged puppy. That, you know, they had the 4 legs for a little bit after birth and was able to use them and, you know, got to know and like that leg and then lost that leg. Seriously, that timefall sequence is... Oh, dude, I thought Hideo Kojima was gonna do that thing where he's just like a fucking pervy weirdo, but then, like, the line, and then he made it rain, and if you've been paying attention in the story at all to the mechanics of the universe, and you just go, oh, I know what's coming, and then he spends, like, 15 minutes fucking explaining it. Yeah, now we're back first full circle. Hideo Kojima bothers me in that I don't think that it's a lack of respect for his audience. I don't think he thinks we're dumb. I think he thinks his ideas are like understandable to like not even just Western audiences, like anybody. So I think that he like likes to reiterate things and draw things out a little bit longer to probably in his mind let them breathe. But here's the thing. In every single one of these cutscenes where he has established an idea and reiterated it like 10 fucking times, I know we're trying to rebuild America, the reclamation of American values, I get it. Fucking hell, can we talk about the fact I'm burning my dead mom right now? Can anybody talk about that? Seriously, nobody fucking talks about that. Nobody talks about the fact that they are burning the dead mom. They just, while you are carrying your dead President Mom, as you are carrying your dead President Mom, they just keep going on. Like, the closest they get to mentioning it... Did I really just check my phone? I'm so sorry. I got a notification, and it's habit. Anyway, but the fact... The closest they get to acknowledging that her death has any emotional weight in those cutscenes is that they have to pretend she's still alive so people still believe in the American dream. Nobody has gone up to Norman Reedus and said, "Hey, buddy, I know this is kind of hard to do what we do, and these are dark times we live in, but I just want to let you know that I'm here. And having to put your own mother into an incinerator or otherwise she becomes a spectral nuclear bomb is kind of tough. That's rough, buddy." Nobody does anything remotely near that. And that's how, like, every major ideal establishing cutscene is. And Trek brought up a good point that it really kind of looks like in that first cutscene that he kills his mom himself. Like, she might have had days, but then she rips out all of her IVs and dies in his arm because he freaked out because he's got the whole thing going on. I don't mind Norman Reedus being your stoic, quiet, tortured soul. I have to go and make these deliveries because nobody else will. I have to connect the world. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. If everybody wasn't the cold, stoic, detached, introspective person. Seriously. Like, everyone is the tortured soul. And yeah, it's the apocalypse, right? Except for the 2-bit players that we have just randomly strewn out in the fucking wastelands, right? Like, just the cosplayer and the craftsman and the old fuck whose whole thing is being old and all that, right? And I ordinarily wouldn't care that the world people are ordinary and boring, right? I wouldn't care. I normally wouldn't care because then it would serve a wonderful juxtaposition for all of the crazy shit that starts happening. You know, like... What is that game called? Inky and the... Like, just the fucking Bendy and the Ink Machine whale falling from the fucking sky. And, you know, the lion made of hentai. The anus lion made of hentai, right? Like, and, like, all the dead bodies, and, like, how everything is, like, it's got the everything's a fetus. Everything is, it's symbolism the game, right? That's a great way to explain it. is it is symbolism the game. Everything is symbolism. Everything is fucking symbolism. And I don't... Except when it's not symbolism, when it's really unsubtle and blunt, and you immediately get what it's going for, but like the subtle things are all in the back, in two places. All of the subtle, like, introspective things that like start making you think about who we are, where we're going, what we've done, whether or not that matters, and whether or not it's okay that if we don't think that's matter, that maybe that's okay that it doesn't matter, and that death isn't just an end, maybe it's a next step, possibly, and you can use that as a comforting mind without it negating what we're doing here. That here still matters and would still affect what happens afterwards. So just maybe being the best kind of person is just in helping others and rebuilding what we have is just the best that we can do, really, and in of itself pays dividends, to itself without some intrinsic reward going afterwards. Because even if it doesn't affect anything that's afterwards, then it would just be the best to make this little encapsulated existence that we have for only once the best, and if it does affect something that's after, we're still like, it's still the best idea to make this as good as we can, because we're not coming back to this. We're not coming back to this, even if you fucking believe in reincarnation, we're not coming back to this, because everything that you are and everything that is you is your memory and your experience and your opinions and like what you've done and who you've seen and like your regrets and your hopes and your dreams and your accomplishments. All of that shit's in the background. All of that shit's in the fucking background or buried in the mechanics, which is the part I'm loving. I'm loving it when it's not fucking fist-feeding me shit, where I have to make assumptions. The rainbow. Like, when you realize what the rainbow means, like, it's such a weird fucking moment when you're sitting there and you see a rainbow, and then you have the thought, oh shit, rainbows mean rain. And you put the dots together yourself. That, oh shit, that's a rainbow. That means rain is coming my way. And rain in this universe hyperforces everything to fucking age. This game made me fucking afraid of rainbows inside its own internal logic. And that's fucking great, because they established that time follows a threat. They established mechanically that it has an effect. And they made it a factor that you have to bypass. They even technically made it so that like you can predict it. And then they gave you a visual indicator in the world that rain is coming without, like a weird like little blip on your menu. They used symbolism to convey not just a mechanical necessity of the world, but they made you feel something about that rainbow that you had never felt before. But no, let's just have some lady just like walking back and forth for like a 10-minute cutscene with this hourglass, and the only information you get out of it is that like the guy that like sent you here to find her, she hadn't talked to in a while, and she thought he was dead. Which you pretty much already figured, because he thought she was dead, and, the apocalypse happened, and that just happens. And then she, like, says that, like, her mother, like, she has, like, that her mother told the guy to tell her that she was, that the girl's mother told her that the guy was dead, and she knew it for sure, so she didn't go out into, the rain that makes you turn into an old person if you're not careful enough to go find him. And, where all the terrible, awful monsters and unlivable conditions are. Like, And then you just take her back, and I haven't, like, admittedly, I haven't engaged with that story at all, because it's just so boring and uninteresting, and every time that because they get, like, their own cutscenes, where, like, the other guys just got, like, the holographic thing that, like, I could click through and just get the gist really quick. And then, like, they take, like, you take the girl back, and it, like, potentially is a really powerful moment where you're carrying, like, a live human being, but... Oh... I wasn't allowed to carry the hourglass by car because it's fragile. Even though the car has a suspension system. And I'm pretty sure bubble wrap is still a thing. And I could just, like, put it in the side seat and put the buckle over it, like I've been doing all the time up to this point. But because I couldn't take the car there, I now have to carry her back by hand, or make 2 trips, or just be told by the system that I can't put her in the car and bring her over, because we have to, for this mission, for it to, like, I guess thematically work, you have to carry the things over a hill, because her 3 lines of dialogue, she say, are so fucking important. They're so fucking important. Admittedly, one of the lines she says talks about the bodies in the tar, which I guess technically could have been, like, the clue that I was supposed to throw the bomb. Like, it's a clue that you can throw stuff into the tar, like, before, like, the game physically teaches you how to do it. So I guess technically they're showing me to... But I could have just drove by the lake anyway. And, like, I mean, worst case scenario, she still would have said her 3 lines because they're so fucking spaced out. And one of them is literally just a reaction to the BTs existing. I like this game. Okay? I like this game. But Hideo Kojima needed a fucking editor. He needed somebody to go through all of his mission structures and cut out the fat, rewrite the dialogue before it got to any of the celebrity actors. And it's like the World War I scene. Like where you're running through the war zone and then you fight the guy. Honestly, my notes about that section are so fucking minimal that I don't even think they apply. My only complaint is that I feel like I went into it pretty well prepared, because that's just the kind of guy I am. If I had gone out on, like, basically followed the flow of the game, I feel like I would have been punished for it, because I went into there with, like, a decent amount of grenades, non-lethal anti-BT weapons and things like that, because the game is trying to get you to kill him, and I didn't mind shooting the Skelly boys, but he's like BB's father, I'm pretty sure at this point, or heavily invested in the BB project or something, so I was like, I kind of want to keep him alive, so I used the ghost weapons on it. What is it? BTs. The anti-BT weapons on him. Anyway, that whole section, right? Again, I just went over my notes for that section, and they're nitpicky as fuck. This is shit I realized after I stopped playing a little while ago. I was like, that's kind of weird. But I didn't care while I was playing, and to me, that's fucking good enough. It's just... Oh, man! I can't recommend this game to anybody. That's the issue with auteur shit that a lot of people don't acknowledge, because a lot of people will look to auteurs like they're gods. They're like, yeah, like, here's the thing. He's not, it's like, when we're talking about, like, film and shit, we're not talking like Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, like, level of, like, that's artistry. They are artists. They have a vision. Like, when we're talking about Hideo Kojima operating in the game space, don't get me wrong, this game has mass appeal, heavy marketing, and everything like that, but that's because it's Hideo Kojima, who made the Metal Gear Solid series, which was absolutely accessible. Like, 100%. It was basically Cold War, the game, but with, you know, sometimes some supernatural techno shit going on. But with Hideo Kojima getting his entirely own project and getting to act like a full-blown auteur, it's like he's not Stanley Kubrick. He's like, or Alfred Hitchcock, or like any of those guys that we would still consider top of the field. He's beyond that in terms of like the general appeal and style of things that he's making. He's like the films that you, like the filmmakers that you only know about if you're like the film guy in your group of friends, right? And that's the game he made with Death Stranding. And the issue with a lot of those films and this game, that a lot of people that are at that level of being invested in the medium, yeah, like I am, where to me, like there is auteur shit and experimental shit, and then like that I would never suggest to anybody as a full-blown game unless like they're interested like getting into the medium. Like if you just want to play like a good thing that's kind of fun, I have a million suggestions for you. But there's just shit in my library that like it's Death Stranding is an example of a game that is good. Like it's absolutely good. But like there are a lot of games in my library and in my life that I would say that I could never in good conscience suggest for somebody else to play. Because there's extremely specific mechanical and medium related reasons as to why I like it. Receiver and Receiver 2 being good examples of that. It's what would seem unnecessary and clunky and weird to a lot of people. It's like, why can't I just hit R and reload? I just want to shoot the sentries. The only really answer that we have as like people who play Receiver or those types of games is that's not the point of the game. That's not what the game's getting across. And it's like, you know, like how Receiver 2, as somebody who knows guns, his own guns, and likes guns, and is very familiar with like inner workings and like to the like and things like that. Somebody who is incredibly comfortable around guns to the point that like when I'm in a VR game, I instantly know like what I'm doing and what's going on, and it feels very natural to me. Receiver 2 makes me feel like a novice, and that's the goal. Receiver and Receiver 2 make you relearn everything that you thought you know about firearms by breaking apart the experience in a game way. That's why Receiver would never work as a VR game. It would be a lame, weird, with next to no features VR game, but because it's built the way that it is for a keyboard and mouse, it's infinitely more complex and interesting, because what is compelling is your moment-to-moment gameplay and getting better at it. Receiver 2 has issues, but I won't go over that right now. Anyway. And this all led me to thinking. Well, not all of this led me to thinking, but I think I've talked enough about all that. Playing Death Stranding made me think about something that, like, as I'm playing it, wouldn't this be the perfect DayZ game? No, seriously. Think about it. Like, okay, we have the non-traditional multiplayer, right? We have, like, you know, like, people building the buildings, and they show up in your world, and stuff like that. But, like, what if everybody was on the same map at the same time? And there's no specific goal or anything like that. You're just dropped into the world. And for people who... So, the rest of this segment, or the rest of this is probably going to be for people who have played Death Stranding. because I'm going to be talking a little bit more abstract, and I'm not going to be going into very much details, because, yeah. So if you got to this point and none of this next part interests you, thank you for staying around. Do the stuff. Okay. Like down below and all that. Love you. But to everybody who has played Death Stranding, and I just said the words, wouldn't this be a great DayZ game? Dude, wouldn't this be a great DayZ game? Seriously. Sorry about that. There you go. But, no, seriously, just, okay, take the DayZ mentality, right? Where you just load into the game, and you do whatever you feel like doing at that point. Getting loot, building a base, things like that. Make all of the constructs, except for the bridges, complexes, like, tear them down, but make them buildable with PCCs. Make, like, the material cost for building, like, anything that, like, is hyper useful, like extend all that stuff up, but make the stuff that like everybody should kind of have, kind of like build that down. Like, also, you have a DayZ game where killing people is a really bad idea, because you'd maintain the universe and everything that's going on with the universe. So, just getting sniped by somebody from across the hill, I mean, it could still theoretically happen, right? Like, there could be some schmuck with, you know, an assault rifle 3, and he just decides he's just gonna murder you and take all your shit, right? But you make the penalty for anybody voiding out so fucking bad. Like, okay, you might have to change the universe a little bit, because technically what causes a void out, which is, you know, the nuke, is that a BT eats a live person, right? No, actually, you don't. Yeah, you still have to change the universe a little bit, but just by inserting something instead of changing something. What you could absolutely do instead is take the. You just institute a new unkillable BT that is wandering around, or hyper. Like super fucking tanky, or there's only a specific way to kill it or something like that. If somebody kills a body and doesn't incinerate it or doesn't throw it into a tar pile, you just have to deal with that body now. Like, the server has to deal with that body now, or otherwise the server is going to end. And the second somebody dies, they have cuffs. So the whole server will just know. So yeah, if there's a griefer just going around killing everybody, it'll become a threat that everybody will acknowledge, and like, you could even have like people coming together and going like, hey, I know that like I've been a mule and I've been like stealing your shit this whole time, but yeah, do you guys need help with like that griefer that's straight up killing people? Because he's gonna cause a void out and we're gonna lose the whole server. Like, and those guys are terrorists. You just have like different statuses of people. You have bridges, you have porters, mules, and terrorists. And terrorists are only labeled whenever they kill somebody, but they don't take care of their own void. I just did it again. I'm so sorry. Okay, but yeah, like, and you just fucking, yeah, you take the, if somebody dies, you have to get rid of the body, or otherwise the whole server is going to get voided out, everyone's going to lose their progress, and it's all going to have to restart, right? So, and then you do like the opposite of what I know you're thinking in the back of your brain. That you go, oh, okay, so then I can make like incinerator areas and tar pits like the best place to find the loot, but it's like, it's the place that's easiest to kill you at. So it's like, no, you don't do that. No, that's the best part. You make those places suck for loot. You make them suck. You make them awful for loot. Like, and it takes forever to get there and shit like that. So that, like, people who are just like, it's just easier to kill him and put him into the incinerator and take his shit instead of having to, you know, like, engage with the non-lethal mechanics, which we already have all the non-lethal mechanics we would need for it to work. They're just like, yeah, I don't want to kill you. I'm going to bind you up with Ebola, which you're going to be able to spam your way out of. I might even knock you out a little bit, which, you know, is going to give me some time to get your shit and get away. But then, like, it just works. I could absolutely just sit here and list like all of the different mechanics and how they interact with each other and things like that. So if you haven't played Death Stranding, you're not gonna get what I'm talking about right now. But if you have played Death Stranding, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That all of the systems that are built in the games, the inventory systems, the weapon systems, everything would just make now the building systems, the ability like putting up the buildings in an area, but you only have so much of a budget to do it. Yeah, they'd have to add like, admittedly, I don't know. Again, I haven't beat the game yet, so I don't know if this is 100% like down the line done. Like if it's already like technically in the game, but you know, like the mule camps, just add those buildings, like the overcovers and shit like that. Add those to the PCCs, maybe even make a whole new level. You'd have to rebalance everything. You'd have to make guns and vehicles a bitch to get, so that walking from place to place is better. But you could even make it so there's just like, it's a job on the server for somebody to like claim the bridges complex while they're there, and just through a menu or even just in the loading bay build orders of technically infinite stuff for people to take them to other like settlements and areas on the map. You just make the bridges complexes like infinite supply buffers essentially, but to take them to where you want on a server, you have to physically take them there. And you'll have the natural antagonism that just comes from people. Like, basically, the game would just be, you know, I'm on the server, I want to go set up my own outpost and, you know, explore and do some fun shit. And you would just repurpose all of the Death Stranding mechanics that already exist to facilitate that. Like, a lot, and you still have, like, you have, like, the NPC system, essentially, and, like, the guys show up with the holograms, so there's always technically something to do. Like, you make those deliveries, and, like, even just make, like, the way that like, you could direct purchase materials from the bridge stations, or from mobile outposts, or what have you, is just likes. Like, likes are just money now, or even just get rid of likes entirely, and let's say you want something from an NPC outpost that is, like, the distribution center south of North Knot City. You talk to an NPC in North Knot City, and because they have a delivery for you to make to the distribution center, and the distribution center will reimburse you with ceramics or a gun or something. Like, you pick an NPC mission, you complete the NPC mission, and that'll give you what you need. And even just have AI mules and porters running around, and just the random packages on the ground that exist anyway. Ugh. It is 8 a.m. and I'm a third shifter. So I've been up since 2 p.m. yesterday. And I'm recording this now, so hopefully I can edit it and get it out tomorrow. But, I don't know. I hope you like that. And, it was very rambly, but I don't know. I think I'm more comfortable doing these than sitting down and writing a script, because, I don't finish scripts. If you have anything that you'd like to yell at me about, do it down below. And, if you have any comments about the current setup, I know. Just everything you're gonna say. I know it's gonna get better. But, having said that, take care of yourselves.